It all fell apart in a single morning. Alarms blared, phones rang endlessly. Screens flashed red across the glass walls of the 32nd floor. Just 12 hours ago, Nathan Cole had been untouchable, a billionaire whose empire stretched from New York to Singapore. Innovation, power, wealth, his name meant it all. Now, as the word system compromised glowed on every monitor, he sat frozen, numb, hollow. Decades of work, billions in assets, thousands of employees, all hanging by a thread of digital destruction. It was as if life itself had decided to declare war on him. If you believe in second chances, kindness, and people appearing in our lives when we least expect it, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. What happens next proves that angels sometimes wear janitor uniforms. Nathan's fortune had always been his armor. He'd risen from a poor neighborhood to unimaginable wealth, forgetting what ordinary struggle felt like. But when a massive cyber attack wiped his company's servers, every contract, every client file, every record vanished into digital smoke. The press called it the fall of a giant. Investors fled. Partners vanished. In his sterile office overlooking a sleepless city, Nathan sat surrounded by glowing screens and shattered pride, wondering how he could lose everything without a single explosion. Just silence. And one cruel line of code. That night, he didn't go home. There was no one waiting. His wife had left 2 years earlier, tired of life revolving around his empire. His daughter lived overseas. Nathan stayed in his office, slumped in his chair, the hum of machines the only sound. Somewhere in the background, a faint squeak of a mop echoed. Evan Turner, the night janitor, worked quietly in the building. 33, neatly kept beard, tired eyes that carried deeper weight than exhaustion. He worked 2 jobs to support his 6-year-old son, Mason, who spent nights at a neighbor's house until Evan's shift ended. Most people didn't notice him, except when floors sparkled or trash bins emptied as if by magic. That night, Evan paused. He saw the light still on in Nathan's office. Nathan didn't notice him at first, lost in despair. But when he finally looked up, there was a man in green, mop in hand, standing quietly by the doorway. "Rough night, sir?" Evan asked softly. Nathan could only nod. He hadn't spoken to anyone for hours. Evan hesitated, then stepped closer. Something about the scene, the billionaire stripped of power, small and human, stirred a strange compassion in him. He had cleaned these offices for months, unnoticed, but tonight, the roles had reversed. Evan set his mop aside and glanced at the screens. "If it's a system breach," he said gently, "you might still have backups, unless your redundancy layers got hit too." Nathan blinked. "You know about systems?" Evan smiled faintly. "Used to. Before my wife passed, I worked in IT. Needed something steadier to care for my son. Night shifts made it easier." That was the first spark, a stranger's quiet words cutting through the fog of Nathan's panic. Without thinking, Nathan let Evan sit at a terminal. Side by side, the billionaire and the janitor combed through logs, traced digital fingerprints, and isolated corrupted nodes. Evan's hands moved with calm precision, typing lines Nathan hadn't touched in years. No arrogance, no condescension, just 2 men caught in the same storm. By dawn, they had found the attack vector, malicious code hidden in a partner firm's software. Not everything was saved, but it was a lifeline. Nathan watched in disbelief as systems flickered back to life. Shadow drives he'd long forgotten restored fragments of data. For the first time in days, he exhaled. He looked at Evan, a janitor, a stranger, and saw something he hadn't felt in years: grace. In the weeks that followed, Nathan couldn't get that night out of his mind. He invited Evan to meet him again, this time in daylight. Evan hesitated. Why would a billionaire remember a janitor? But Nathan was rebuilding, not just his company, but himself. He offered Evan a position on the cybersecurity team. At first, Evan refused. "I don't want charity," he said. Nathan shook his head. "It's not charity, it's recognition." Their bond grew from there. Mason, Evan's little boy, often came to the office during late shifts. Nathan would bring him snacks, tell him stories about stars above the city, and laugh with him in ways he hadn't laughed in years. The men who once measured life in stock values began measuring it in moments. Quiet moments, shared moments, moments where kindness mattered more than profit. Slowly, Nathan began giving back. Scholarships, support for single parents, rebuilding his company with empathy at its core. But it wasn't wealth or power that changed him, it was purpose. He saw himself in Evan, a man who had lost love, fought battles in silence, and still had the courage to help someone else. One evening, Nathan said to Evan, "You didn't just save my company. You reminded me what life feels like." And over time, their friendship became legendary inside the firm. The billionaire who fell and the janitor who lifted him up. Not with money, but with humanity. Nathan often said in interviews that his greatest fortune wasn't in dollars. It was in the night someone with nothing gave him everything. Weeks later, Nathan reflected on that night again. The alarms, the red screens, the quiet mop squeaking across the office floor. And there, in the middle of despair, was Evan, steady, patient, human. He realized that losing everything had given him the chance to see what truly mattered. Life, friendship, and the quiet power of compassion. If this story moved you even a little, if it reminded you that kindness can come from the most unexpected hearts, please like, share, and subscribe. Stories like these deserve to live on. Before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe one act of compassion can truly change a life? Nathan never forgot that night in the office. The glow of the screens. The quiet strength of a man in green. The heartbeat of hope pulsing through the dark. The billionaire had lost everything, but in losing it, he found something far greater. He found humanity.